Welcome back to the Miniature Mike Monologue. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the pod. I was so saddened by my inability to upload a podcast last weekend, and it is almost nighttime, like really late in the nighttime, like later than I've uploaded the podcast here when I'm recording this. But this is the only time today I had to record it, and I wanted to get on here and say hi because I said that I would. And, if you knew what I had gone through to get this little mini mic, you might want to give me a hug, which, I would appreciate that. But obviously I am not anywhere that I've been before. I'm at a hotel with my mom, actually. And soon I'm going to go back to Arizona for a couple of days to be with my mom. I'm very exciting. And, there's my mom right now. You want to say hello? Hi. Well, you have to say into the mic. It's okay.
Hello, Miniature Mike.
Okay, that was my mom, you guys. Anyways, I don't have a lot to say today. I don't really have that much of a topic except for the one that you guys saw I put on the screen, or I gave for the title. And that's just because sometimes you're not really talking about what you're going through, or you're not really saying very many things, but you are living and you are learning, and that's the most important stuff. And it's not always that you get to live and you get to learn and you like it or you love it or you enjoy it, but it is real life. And so, that's kind of what I've been going through. Hopefully there will be a time where I can, probably when I'm much removed from this stage of my life, meaning like at least 5 years from now, where I can talk about some more specific things that I've gone through so it can be of hope to someone, some sort of a testimony. But right now, I'm just living and I'm learning, and I'm very excited to have this little tiny mic in front of my face because I love it. Now it's smiling at me. And I also haven't been able to do my hair for like 2 weeks. So this is great that I could do it. But, day one is not the best day, in my opinion. It's usually like day 2 or day 3 where it gets a little more volume and things begin to continue and expand in all the positive ways. And in this time in my life, I will share one thing that I've learned, even though I wouldn't necessarily say this time is over, but I've just learned and begun to realize that I am capable of doing a lot more things that I don't want to do than I thought. And that I also am not necessarily as equipped as I once thought to handle, or to handle myself, I guess I could say, when situations or people hurt me, because I think about it a lot. I'm very analytical. I always like to try to get to what caused the problem, what I will do in case the problem returns. And then after a certain amount of time, I start to think like, why am I still thinking this? And I can't make my body or myself process things any faster. But I did hear an interesting tidbit about emotions from a doctor. You guys know the Diary of a CEO podcast. I don't know if she was a doctor, actually. Let me not say that. She's not a doctor. But just saying that your body only feels emotions for 90 seconds. So anytime after that, you're choosing to think on the thing that you were thinking about. And I was like, whoa. If this is true, then I am choosing to think on the things that people do to me that are rude, that are intentionally malicious, and all of the things, a lot. And I was like, to me, that sounds like a root where I've let bitterness or resentment in my heart. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, I don't play about that. So that is also something that I learned about myself. And I also learned that even though I can do things that are harder or more uncomfortable for longer than I would like to, I don't want to do that. I just want it to go away. But I think the more overarching lesson there for those two realities is that they're not going to go away, and at some point, if they're not going away, there is probably a reason. And that doesn't mean that the Lord won't be with me. And 9 times out of 10, when people do mistreat me or situations do go wrong, and I am uncomfortable, that's usually where the Lord presents himself the most, and not necessarily in the churchy way, the way that I would want, but just by being a constant presence and by protecting and by providing and all these different things. But you can't really learn that side of God, the side of God who is the provider, Jehovah Jireh, the side of God who I've been listening to a lot of sermons and reading about his name. That's El Roy, which means the God who sees, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I can't remember. But anyways, you can't learn that he's a provider or that he's a protector unless you are in need of protection or in need of provision. And that usually isn't going to come about by like, I need $15 so I can buy this shirt. You know what I'm saying? That's not how God shows that he is a dependable provider, a source from not only which all the things that you need flow, but from your life. And that is not talked about a lot because I don't think most people actually get to a place in relationship with God where they experience that, you know? And the last thing I will say that I have learned just in this little time is that I really was trying to play judge on how I was living my life and, make sure that I was doing it in a way that was righteous, but that wasn't really helping me, nor was it helping God. It was really just blindsiding me to seeing how God really sees and processes me. And funnily enough, I started to realize and think about that because I heard someone say those words. I can't remember if it was like a podcast, a full one, or if it was just a clip. But in one of the songs on Jackie Hill's Blameless album, there is a blurb at the end where a man recites Psalms 139 or Psalms 119, where the Lord says, "My thoughts about you are precious," which means that if I'm thinking, why am I acting like this? Why did I do this? Blah, blah, blah. Not only is God not thinking that, but he already knew I was going to do that. And all of his thoughts towards me are precious. So I've been actively trying to not play judge on my life and just do something, make a decision, have a feeling, feel an emotion, which I think also I have not been the best at letting myself do because I'm such a thinker. I'm just like, what am I going to do? That I know if I look back on different scenarios in my life, there's a lot of emotions I never fully felt or fully processed, which is probably why part of me is so like, why is it taking me this long to process this with different emotions when, worse things occur versus the ones where I was like really not paying attention to them happen. And then I'm like, maybe because you're having to learn how to do it. And it's like, okay, the choice that was made is the choice that was made, and we can't do anything about it now. If dwelling on it produces a positive result, just for a little bit of introspection, then do it. But if it doesn't, then don't. And I feel like I'm having to redefine or define that line. I'm not really sure if I ever had it really defined because I was fearful that if I didn't like rehearse or go back and look over everything I did, I wasn't serving the Lord in the best way possible because I wasn't constantly checking myself. But, I don't think he's constantly checking us either. At least not in the way that I was trying to do it. That was me scratching right here on my nose. Okay, don't try it. All right, I'm kind of blabbering and I don't really have much to say anymore. And that's it. Sorry this episode was mega short, but maybe it will appeal to some people. Anyways, okay. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. You want to say goodbye, Mommy?
Goodbye, Mike.
No.
Goodbye, Miniature Mike.
Okay, love you. Bye.